Hello, and welcome to the reading review video of the sample rhetorical analysis, uh, understanding Brooks's binaries, as well as a review before you turn in your rhetorical analysis essay. Um, Essentially, understanding Brooks's binaries is a sample student rhetorical analysis. It was actually written by a student. And if you look at the essay, paragraph by paragraph, you'll notice that uh, Rachel Cobb's essay fulfills all of the guidelines that I have asked you to fulfill in your intro paragraphs, your body paragraphs, and your concluding paragraphs. Right off the bat, let's start with the title. The whole point of a rhetorical analysis is to understand someone's argument, and that's what Rogerian argument is, meeting in the middle. You don't have to agree with it. So she titles it Understanding Brooks's Binaries. Now, his last name ends with an S. So notice how, right, she puts apostrophe S after the S. You may say that looks weird. Remember, with a singular noun, you always put the apostrophe S. You can only just put the apostrophe if it's a plural noun. So if she was referring to the Brooks family, that would be a plural noun. But because she's referring to David Brooks, it's S apostrophe S. It'd be like if you said, can I use Chris's pen? CHRIS apostrophe S. So right off the bat, her title clues us into the purpose. That's what your title should do as well. So make sure your title is reflective of the purpose, right? And the idea that you want to focus on in rhetorical analysis is the argument effective? So in your intro paragraph, you should have background information on your subject and topic, the environment, vegetarianism, hybrid cars, Freston's essay, Freston herself. That's 5 things that you can write on. You could start with a description of what you ate for dinner. You could start with a personal anecdote, an observation, or a story about something that happened to you. Notice how in my sample intro paragraph, I started with an anecdote. I think that's a very good way to start an essay by invoking your own character, credibility, ethos. The reason why I picked this topic is you all should have some sort of credibility when writing about it because you all eat food. So it should not be that difficult to invoke your ethos. So, background information, thesis statement, answer the question, is her argument effective? And then list out the supporting ideas that you're going to focus on, right? It could be ethos, logos, pathos, kairos. It could be something more descriptive. Just make sure the list is parallel. If you're listing phrases, make sure you list phrases with phrases. If you're listing singular nouns or plural nouns, keep it consistent. You can read her background sentences. Notice how it looks like she probably took sentence 1 and sentence 2 from her précis, right? That's okay. You can take the first 2 sentences from your précis when you're introducing a source. Notice how she invokes her ethos with the anecdote. It starts with an anecdote, then she introduces us with the sentences from the précis. Then she says, right? Brooks's argument itself mimics the pattern of moving from perversely structured, she puts quotes around his words as you need to, youth to unprecedentedly wide open, quotes around his words, adulthood. It operates on the basis of binary oppositions, raising familiar notions about how to live one's life and then dismantling them. There's her thesis. Binaries mean two, right? His whole essay is about binaries. They tell you this, but this is the truth. This is what you want. This is what the reality is. So it's kind of like a binary opposition. And that's why she titles it Understanding Brooks's Binaries. Now notice Brooks and binaries both start with a B. She uses the figure of speech when you use words that start with similar letters and sounds. We call that alliteration. She uses alliteration in her title, and it clues us into the purpose. It's a very Rogerian title. So, her intro starts with background. She clearly presents her thesis. She puts his words in quotation marks. And make sure when you use other people's words, you put them in quotation marks, and then at the end of the sentence, in the parentheses, put the last name and the page or the paragraph number. Now, Vegetarian is the New Prius, My Story, and About Us, the 3 documents you're going to be using. None of them have page numbers, so you're going to cite by paragraph number. Use the abbreviation PAR period. Last but not least, her intro, right, ends with her supporting sentence where she lists out what the essay is going to focus on. Throughout, the piece relies less on factual evidence than on Brooks's own authoritative tone and skill in using rhetorical devices. She lets the reader know which rhetorical strategy she's going to focus on. Now, she doesn't say ethos, she says authoritative tone. Again, you don't have to say ethos, logos, pathos, and kairos. You can choose synonyms. You can choose descriptive phrases. Notice how her first point is his tone. Look at the topic sentence of body paragraph number 1, the second paragraph of the essay. In his editorial, Brooks objects to mainstream cultural messages that sell students on individuality, but bases his conclusions more on general observations than on specific facts. His ethos rather than logos. So when you're listing out your supporting ideas in the intro, you should address those ideas in the order that you list them. Body paragraph number 1, the second paragraph of the essay, focuses on his authoritative tone. She has topic sentences followed by details, facts, examples, and quotes. And notice how with each of her body paragraphs, she ends with a transitional or concluding sentence. If you look at body paragraph number 3, she actually uses the words relying on the logos of his argument in the topic sentence. So she mentions that the second body paragraph, right, which is the third paragraph of the essay overall, is going to be about logos. Now, look at the last paragraph. On the top of page 111, the topic sentence, the last body paragraph, paragraph number 4 overall, the third body paragraph, right? First is the intro. Second is ethos. Third is on logos. The fourth paragraph overall starts with the topic sentence. Brooks overcomes his limitations in logos and ethos through his piece's greatest strength, its style. So, notice how the topic sentences of the body paragraphs announce what the focus of the paragraph is going to be about. There's then anywhere from 5 or more sentences of details, facts, examples, and quotes. And then she ends each body paragraph with a sentence or two that transitions to the next paragraph or summarizes and concludes what that paragraph was about, just as you should. Follow the guidelines that I've given you on the assignment page when submitting this essay. Use this sample student essay as a model for you to follow, to emulate. Okay? Make sure you create the works cited as she does, right? And also, last but certainly not least, make sure your conclusion does 3 things: repeat, review, and reflect. That's when you can really put your personal feelings in the intro, background, and the conclusion. That's when you can share whether you like it or you can agree or disagree. The key is your thesis, the support, and the body paragraphs need to be objective rhetorical analysis that demonstrate you're a Rogerian thinker. Because even if you don't agree with Freston, you can still, right, determine that her essay is effective, just like Rachel Cobb does in the sample student essay in the book with David Brooks's It's Not About You. Thank you for your patience and stay tuned.